Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's all about your recovering counseling, and that's what she's here to talk about again. Sadigoh Galloway joining us live here on the Zoom and on the podcast to talk more about the help that she can offer you. Welcome back. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sadigoh Galloway. I'm the CEO and founder of Your Recovery Counseling, located in Beechwood, Ohio. I'm very excited to speak with you today.
Well, we are excited to have you here, have you back once again here. You have been with us before, so it's always good to point out the work that you're doing as a therapist at Your Recovery Counseling, and it's yourrecoverystarts.com, correct?
Correct.
Yay! Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do to start.
So Your Recovery Counseling is a community behavioral health agency that was established in 2022. I just saw a huge gap and a huge need for services with folks that were struggling with addiction and or mental health coming out of the pandemic. And so I was working at as a provider, as a direct care provider at some other agencies, and I saw some things throughout the years. But as I continued to develop professionally and go into different positions, I was trained on how to develop policies and procedures to protect this marginalized population. And so with that information, I kind of just put everything together like a cake mix, and we developed Your Recovery Counseling to help those in need.
Got it. Thank you so much. And by the way, where are you based out of?
We're in Beechwood, Ohio. It is a smaller suburb right outside of Cleveland. Most folks may be a little bit more familiar. They've heard Cleveland, but Beechwood is a nice, it's beautiful, small suburb right outside of Cleveland.
Oh, well, we're excited to have you here. And you work those only in your state, or are you able to work in other states? Just want to make sure we have that pointed out.
So yeah, when it comes to the folks that we serve, we're contracted with a majority of the insurance carriers, the managed care providers. However, our contract, because we're in Ohio, we contracted just throughout the state of Ohio. Now, as we started to discuss some different things with you on this podcast, and knowing that we're reaching a larger population, we do have plans to add other states to our existing contract. Now, we can see folks in other states, but we will not be able to utilize their insurance. They would have to pay out of pocket if they were in a different state. But if you're an Ohio resident, you certainly can give us a call at 216-483-1001, 216-483-1001, and at Your Recovery Counseling, and we'll get you some help.
Aw, thank you so much. And the types of things that you're working with people on, could you share, particularly New Year's here? You know, they say the wintertime is very depressing. The holidays we just got over, but mentally, some people are still maybe stuck in some mental duress.
Yeah, a lot of folks, are drained, around this time of year, especially in Ohio. We see a lot of folks that have that seasonal depression, and they just kind of get in a fog. There's less sun, so less vitamin D, and it's kind of gray outside, and that certainly plays a part in people's mood. And so we see people come in for some mild depression. When that is paired with either substance use or some disordered gambling, those symptoms can look a little bit more extreme for folks.
And when you work with someone, you're here doing a Zoom with me. You're doing some in person and Zoom like this. And how do people react? I mean, it's not easy to talk to someone. I've talked to someone. I feel like I need to talk to someone again. I think we all have our own mental health conditions, but how do you make someone feel? I mean, comfortable. I mean, you do just by speaking with you have that about you, but to make someone make that call to say, hey, I do need the help. I do need the struggle. What would you say to someone that's out there today listening?
I would say that, we know you're there. You have not been forgotten. Someone is thinking of you somewhere in a positive aspect. Someone somewhere is willing to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on yourself 5 minutes before the miracle. And if you are in despair and hopeless, please give us a call. Even if you're in a different state, we will help to connect you with something that's closer to you. The bottom line is your recovery counseling is here to help, but healing begins with you. And it doesn't take much. Just make the phone call,
Yeah.
216-483-1001. If you make the phone call, we can kind of help guide you with the rest.
Oh, beautiful. And I know we've talked about some of your testimonials and comments. If you go to the website, there are some great ones, which says a lot about you and your work and your recovery counseling. And just want to point out, some of the things that you can call about, right? You mentioned even gambling, drinking. There could be someone who mentally is dealing with anxiety. Organizational tactics, like I'm dealing with some issues mentally, I'm not able to focus to get my organizational needs done in my home, and I feel like that's affecting my life. And by the way, if you go to the website, I was saying, I just ran on a tangent here. For example, Desmond says, thank you for helping me so much to get my life back. I'm no longer on probation, and completing the program has been one thing I finished, and I finished strong. Thank you for all the staff at your recovering counseling. Kimberly says her experience was awesome. Wasn't sure if I was worth getting a new start in life. The staff was so supportive, didn't rush me. They really did meet me where I was. And so far I've been doing great now for 3 months. So here's some of the recovery coaching testimonials right here. People talking like Ron about how you saved their lives. So wow.
Well, it's a team. It's not just me.
I know.
I have a staff.
Mhm.
Here, and they really are the boots on the ground. They do a lot of good work with folks. And we have the population that we serve is very diverse. We have nurses. We have attorney, we have a lot of, different folks that come in for different reasons. Sometimes stress at work can just be compounding, and folks just need a safe space to just deliver, and speak their truth, So if that's you, you also can give us a call. Just because we do, we're qualified to service, chronic and persistent mental health, chronic and persistent substance use disorder, does not mean that those are the only folks that we see. So if you're out there, sometimes you have folks that have some health conditions, or have just been informed some recent diagnosis that they're struggling with processing. Come on in. We can help you. 216-483-1001, 216-483-1001. Your Recovery Counseling. We're located in Beechwood, Ohio. We provide in-person services as well as virtual services. So if you are not within our radius, if you're in a different county, if you just, you're nervous about coming in person, we can see you virtually. If you have a smart device and you're willing, to click the link, we can get started. We can get you started, just give us a call. We can get your intake forms to you virtually and get that first appointment going. So just reach out. We're here.
Oh, and you mentioned there's the individual, there's the group counseling, and again, you have a team of counselors. Could you share a little bit about the team and the types of specialties they're all in?
Yeah, so we have two social workers. Both of our social workers actually came from Case Western Reserve University. and which is, a renowned university. And then we have three counselors that are substance use disorder specific. And then myself, I'm kind of dual credentialed in a lot of different areas. So, we also provide the SAP evaluations for folks that are linked up under the Department of Transportation. And so for those folks, they would need a special sort of evaluation to get a return to duty. And so we are able to see those folks here. We provide a wide array of services. We also coordinate with a nurse practitioner and a psychiatrist. So if you need medications, we certainly can link you with those providers, and they can do their eval and see what's needed. So we're kind of, I don't want to say we're an all-in-one stop, but we're very close to that. It's very important for us to help you identify what your needs may be, and it's very important for us to help you address those things.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate it that you're here to talk about some of the things that people are going through. Did you want to share some client experiences? Obviously no names, but share some of the things that you've worked on people with and how the recovery has went. I'm sure there's some good stories of hardship, but turn out well, and that's what we're looking for, right? You say,
Absolutely.
yeah, healing
Absolutely.
begins with you.
Absolutely. We had a young lady that came in about a month ago, and she had been diagnosed with third stage breast cancer for about a year. She was on her job for 21 years, and because she had been off, I guess, exhausted her time off in FMLA, and she's on long-term leave. Uh, Her job was terminated. Her mother had passed about a month after she received this diagnosis, and she hadn't been in therapy. She said her physician did refer her to someone. And she got there and she said she waited for like 40 minutes. The person never called her in. And she kind of went on Google and found us. But when she came in, of course, she was devastated, had no supports at all, and she's still very new, but we can see a spark of hope. We have provided her with some support groups here in Ohio, specifically for folks that are either cancer survivors or folks that have been newly diagnosed or family members of someone who has had a cancer diagnosis. So she's developing her support outside of therapy. She's showing up weekly for therapy. And she's making good, the best progress that she can at this time. And I'm really proud of her, for that. A lot of times, when we look at progress, sometimes people are looking for this great, grand, huge, ball of fire or something, and progress is not always seen, on a grand spectrum. The small steps, it's the small steps that's the progress, and so that's just one of the cases. We have so many, but that's just one that I would like to highlight. Actually, we have one other gentleman. He's very new. He just came in, a young man. Recently, lost his daughter. His daughter, 15 years old, basketball player, fell out on the court, and it was downhill from there. And that was a year ago, he said. He has 3 other children, but he feels like if he experiences any joy or any happiness, it's a betrayal to the love that he has for his daughter that has passed.
Uh,
So this is a new case, and we are working with this gentleman. He is very willing to participate in the healing process. And so I just wanted to share those two cases because a lot of times, we can get overshadowed just with, the bipolar, the depression, the
mhm.
anxiety, the fentanyl, which is horrific, the opioids, which is horrific. Now that's marijuana and all these other things. Those things we definitely are addressing that, but I don't want it to overshadow, other people's day-to-day issues
Yeah.
that are just as severe for them, So we're here for all of you. We're here to help.
Well, I love it. And could I ask just a little bit about your background and what brought you here? Even though I may know personally, because you've told me before, for
That's
the
okay.
new listeners out there, it'd be nice to hear a little bit about what brought you here on your journey.
So my background is, I was born and raised here in Cleveland, inner city, girl. The community that I was brought up in, it was thriving, but it was very dysfunctional. So a lot of the issues that people come in today for therapy for, were things that appeared as if it was the normal in my environment. Fortunately, the schools that I went to, I was exposed to more stable conditions and stable people. Hope was brought in for me. But I also, wanted to help those that I saw suffering. So mental health and substance use disorder and grief and trauma and all of those things, I'm very familiar with what they look like.
Mm.
And it's very important for me to help, to be part of the solution, because there's so many people that are impacted,
Ah,
by the problems.
yep. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. And
Mhm.
during the holiday season now, do you find more of an uptick of people needing this type of help and needing the type of treatment? What would you say is the most common, what do I call it, an ailment? Do I call it a problem? Do I call it, I don't want to use the wrong word, to insult anyone. The
Challenge.
challenge.
Mhm,
Thank you for that. I couldn't get
mhm,
the words out. It
It's
happens
okay.
sometimes.
Mhm.
Do you see as one of the most biggest challenges in our society today?
One of the biggest challenges is just the lack of compassion, you know. And I mean that's the reality of it. And it doesn't have to be just with therapy. If compassion, was a key factor in day-to-day living, that would reduce some of the elements that we see that is bringing conflict, chaos, confusion, and death in our society overall. So that is one of the biggest things. The other thing is being educated, getting educated, and it doesn't have to be a formal college education, but show some interest in what some of these issues and these problems are, not, stigmatizing and having these biased views and just assuming, what the problem is with people, because a lot of times the behavior, whatever it is, or no matter how severe or extreme it may be, that there's an underlying condition there. There's something going on, and so having some compassion to allow someone else to understand that we recognize that there's something else going on, and we'll slow walk it. And if you're not ready to tackle it right now, that's fine. We just want you to know that we're here when you're ready, and we care. And again, that's Your Recovery Counseling, 216-483-1001, yourrecoverystars.com on the web. We're in Beechwood, Ohio. We're genuine and authentic people. And we have the compassion that I feel is missing in day-to-day society. And I think that's one
Beautiful.
of the biggest factors that has created successful outcomes for our persons served.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Well, we still have another 5 minutes left here. So I want to ask, is there anything else that you think is important to share, with our listeners about the work you're doing, the people you're helping, and anything you think that would be benefit someone out there struggling?
I think, one of the other things that should be noted is this: when it comes to like the holiday times, for some folks, it's not as happy, you know, uh, especially if they have some grief or experience some loss, regardless to if that was a death or the ending of a relationship. Those things create, uh, uh, just a strong emotional pull on individuals, especially around the holidays, when they have their memories, connected to those that, they've lost. So we do see an uptake in intakes around the holiday time, due to people just not being emotionally into it. And then we also see a flux of folks calling in to get help for their alcoholism or their substance use disorder, or their mental and emotional challenges. And that comes from a lot of things. Sometimes people make resolutions. It's a new year, a new them, a new this, a new that, and we're here for it. And sometimes, unfortunately, because of the holidays, people party a lot, and they get into a little bit of trouble, and that ends up introducing them to our agency. Nevertheless, for whatever reason or however, they end up getting here with us, we're here to address the underlying issue. We don't look at you
Yep.
based off of any paperwork that was attached to you. We start fresh.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And to reach out to you, by the way, you have a few different offices, right?
Yes, we do. We have two different locations. Our primary location is 23811 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 105. That's Beechwood, Ohio. That's our primary location. We also have a secondary location, which is 2000 Auburn Drive, Suite 200. Again, the phone number for both locations is 216-483-1001. They're about a half a mile away from each other. Both are still in Beechwood. So depending on which office you prefer, just let us know. We'll get you scheduled there. We're here to help.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And always appreciate you taking the time to be here with us, to want to help so many people with your story, with your testimonials, and of course, being here every day for others. And says a lot about you. Who's
Yeah,
there
and
for you, by the
Jill,
way? When you need help, who's there for you? Just curious.
oh, well,
You have
who's there for me? I mean, there's tons of people. I'm very fortunate to
good.
have a lot of healthy people around me, you
Just making
know.
sure they say,
Yeah,
yeah, it's good
yeah.
to have. Not
Oh
everyone
yeah,
does.
any good therapist has a good therapist. You need a safe space. But I did also want to just say thank you to you, Jill, and your team, for allowing time and providing a platform, for those out there that's struggling to know that there is help and that they can hear it. So thank you, and kudos to you and your team, Jill. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Really. Thanks again. Great
Mhm.
conversation
All
today. Got
right.
me thinking about my own mental health needs. I think all of us could benefit from
Absolutely.
help. Thank you. And I like how we coordinated today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your hair, my
A
shirt. It's
shirt.
like, we look good.
You're gorgeous. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.